My name is Freeze. Learn it well, so it is the chilling sound of your doom. Do you feel it coming, Batman? The icy cold space. At 30,000 feet, your heart will freeze and beat no more. What killed the dinosaurs? The Ice Age! And that's just some of the quotes that you're going to hear in this movie. Hey everybody, this is David, and today I'm going to be talking about Batman and Robin, the Batman film starring George Clooney as Batman, Arnold Schwarzenegger as Mr. Freeze, Chris O'Donnell as Robin, Uma Thurman as Poison Ivy, and Alicia Silverstone as Batgirl. And boy, what do I have to say about this movie? What do I have to say that hasn't been really said? I don't know. I'll try to get through this quick. So basically, we got George Clooney as Batman, like I said earlier. I think everybody knows George Clooney is famously known for being the worst Batman of all time. Now, to George Clooney's defense, I wanna come to his defense a little bit. George Clooney is a really good actor. I just think he was in the wrong Batman movie at the wrong time. I think if you put him in something like Batman Begins or even the first Tim Burton Batman movie, maybe we could have actually gotten a more interesting Bruce Wayne and Batman from him. But because, wrong place, wrong time, I think to George Clooney's defense, I think he was just in that wrong film. And it would have been interesting if he was in something different, a different type of Batman film, because I think he was definitely miscast for this film. I think any actor would have been miscast, so I don't really blame George Clooney for the destruction of this film. It was a team effort, and everybody should be blamed, in my opinion, not just one person. Chris O'Donnell is also back as Robin, and he seems a little bit more whinier than last time, and can get a little bit annoying. Personally, in my own opinion, I think he's the least worst in this film. I think there are a lot of other actors and their choices that make it a lot more cringeworthy. We also have Mr. Freeze, played by Arnold Schwarzenegger, and he's the one with a lot of one-liners in this movie, and the constant ice jokes do not stop. And they can be really cringeworthy sometimes, believe me. Uma Thurman plays Poison Ivy. Poison Ivy is a great character in the comics and in the cartoon shows, but in this movie, it does not work at all. And you think someone like Uma Thurman, Academy Award nominee or winner, and, it just doesn't work because the movie itself is so corny and so bad that, why did she sign up to this movie? I have no idea. This was definitely for a paycheck. Finally, we also have Alicia Silverstone as Batgirl. I'm going to admit, I had a huge crush on Alicia Silverstone back in the day. I mean, she still is pretty hot, never mind, but this is not Batgirl. I just want to say that. They can call it Batgirl if they want, but the movie has her as Barbara's niece. If you know the comics and the cartoons and all that, it's supposed to be Barbara Gordon. Now, I don't mind when there's changes from the comics and stuff like. I'm not as attached to the comics or the cartoons I love, but I'm willing to separate all that to see what a director will give me story-wise. And whatever their choice was for changing Batgirl from Commissioner Gordon's daughter to Alfred's niece, I didn't understand the change, why that needed to happen. And the character is just dumb to begin with. She's like a rebel going out behind people's backs and doing motorcycle racing. And it was dumb. Her excuse for doing it was dumb to me. And it was horrible. And I mean, the worst part about it is, with Batman Forever and Batman Robin, they started doing these ass shots and chest shots for the males. But then when it comes to Batgirl, we don't get no boob shot, and it's like, what the hell, man? It's the least you could have given us, We also have You know what? I'm not even going to talk about Bane, so forget about that character. I'm going to gloss over Bane because that is not Bane. If you want to see the real Bane, at least go to The Dark Knight Rises or read the comic book or watch Batman the Animated Series. This monstrosity in this movie that they call Bane is no, no. For the most part, when you really watch this movie, it really is a movie that's catered to sell toys. And that's its biggest problem. I think the movie had a little potential there, mostly with the Bruce Wayne and Alfred storyline, where Alfred in the film is dying and Bruce knows about it. And he has these flashbacks to when he was just a kid and when Alfred took care of him. And I think that could have been the heart of the story. Except the movie is so loud and annoying when it goes to other things that you really don't give a crap about the rest of it. That I think a lot of people overlook that storyline too. And I think that was the storyline that had the most potential of making it a decent film. But because they were more distracted in selling toys, because that's what Warner Brothers wanted, because toys was the thing that was going to help this movie be successful, right? They didn't think at the time that, remember, this was it's still in the time when superhero movies were still not respected. That would come like a couple years after this movie. This movie was practically the death of superhero films at the time. And, you know, it was kind of sad because superhero films did stall for a long while after this movie. There were a couple here and there, but none of them were huge successes until the first X-Men would come along like 4 years later. So, but for what it's worth, I think the film, yeah, it's pretty much like Batman Forever, but 10 times worse. Like you can see that, wow, Batman Forever at least had some moments of seriousness. This movie barely has anything, maybe like 5 scenes, and then the rest of the movie is a huge cartoon. There's behind the scenes features where you could see Joel Schumacher, the director of the film, telling everybody with a microphone, we have to make this more cartoony. In some ways, you can kind of see that the movie tries to take what the 60s Batman did. But the problem is it fails on every level. I also think it's because during the 60s, that's what people wanted and that it worked better back then, especially on a television scale. Where on a movie scale, we're looking for something completely different. And we wanted something like the first 2 Tim Burton Batman movies. I know Batman Returns wasn't received as well back then from critics, but I think as years went by, people looked back at Batman Returns and started appreciating it a little bit more, especially after seeing where the Batman franchise went after this. As you can see from all these Batman and Superman reviews that I've been doing, the Batman and Superman movies have followed a very similar path, where the first one set high standards, and then as the films kept going, the film started declining in terms of quality. With that being said, guys, I'm giving Batman and Robin a 3 out of 10. It is a terrible movie on all levels. There's some things that maybe try to... It's really hard. I'm just going to flat out say it. It's not easy to find any redeeming qualities about this movie. It is a really cheesy movie. Just like Superman 4, The Quest for Peace, though, I think this movie is good if you are watching it with a group of friends, getting drunk, getting high, getting whatever, you know, have a good time, have a good laugh. It's good if you want to have a good laugh with a group of friends. That's how I'm going to say what this movie is. And I'd say it's even more so because, more so than Superman 4, The Quest for Peace, because I think it does fail on all levels. And in terms of quality, though, there's a little bit more better quality in terms of like special effects and all that compared to Superman 4, The Quest for Peace. But even that isn't saying much. So with that being said, guys, I'm going to leave it at that. Batman and Robin, worst Batman movie ever. I'm really hoping that we can get some redemption for Poison Ivy and Mr. Freeze in a movie one day. Just like Bane had redemption in The Dark Knight Rises. I felt that character was redeemed. We need those characters to also get redemption in a future film one day. Maybe now that we're getting, the cinematic universe from DC, maybe Mr. Freeze or Poison Ivy can pop in to a Ben Affleck Batman film and hopefully redo those characters, reboot them, and make them much better. Because Schwarzenegger could have been a really good Mr. Freeze. Unfortunately, just like George Clooney, he was put into the wrong Batman movie. He should have played it more like, Terminator, stone cold hearted. That's the kind of Mr. Freeze I want to see. So, with that being said, guys, I'm going to leave it at this. I'll be back. I know, wrong Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. Take care.